Are you ready?
Agility from the champion.
Oh, deep six!
That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
This is episode 131. We are live. It is Saturday night, episode 131. Just like Pete had posted, I'm joined tonight by Peter Moxley or Mr. Kathy Kelly Milano, whatever you want to call him tonight. Pete, how you doing, man?
Doing.
What do we got there? Oh, I knew you had something up your sleeve.
Had to. Love the montage of everybody that from the guys that he wrestled with and the people he just influenced, and then the people in Hollywood, and then the signs that some of the guys had, like even Brock Lesnar, some of the toughest guys that Cena had battles with, were just paying him homage and respect. And I just got to give respect to John Cena.
What a good night it was. This was definitely one of the most important nights in recent WWE history, as tonight marks the end of an era. It is the end of the John Cena era as we know it, and what a run it has been. But for those of you guys that are watching, feel free to drop some comments. We want to know what you guys thought of tonight's WWE Saturday Night's main event, what you guys thought of the match that we got between John Cena and Gunther, the overall show. There was some pretty good stuff on the show tonight. And leave comments of maybe some of your favorite moments of John Cena's career. We'll be sure to post each and every one of those comments tonight as we are going through the show. But tonight was WWE Saturday Night's main event live from Washington, D.C. And we had ourselves a pretty good show. Pete, I'd like you to start off to ask you, what did you think of tonight's overall show as a whole before we get more into John Cena?
It's going to be nostalgic. This was the end of John Cena in-ring career. We may never see John Cena in a ring ever in WWE, and that means him just even walking out into a ring. I think John Cena's never going to step inside the ring ever again, even on the microphone or anything like that. John Cena is going to be involved with WWE. Maybe you'll see him on the backstage or just things like on the side or outside the ring and stuff. But I think John basically, just listening to some of the words that he said and the choice words that he said, it just seems like that's the last time he's going to enter the ring. He's going to be an ambassador. He's going to do a lot of things. This guy did over 620 Make-A-Wish. That's over 620 kids that asked him for him to be their Make-A-Wish, and he did that many Make-A-Wishes, and that's a huge part of John Cena is an overall image tied in with WWE that's never going to be ever again, and no one's ever going to match that.
No, not at all. John Cena's projects with the Make-A-Wish, that Make-A-Wish was his baby. Nobody's done anywhere near the amount of Make-A-Wish visits as John Cena has. And actually, if there was anything that may have tear-jerked me tonight, was seeing the kids, the elation of the kids' faces when they had the chance to meet John Cena and they're seeing their wishes fulfilled. I want to ask you, Pete, have you ever met John Cena?
Never met John Cena. I've never seen John Cena in person. No, I've never met John Cena.
So I have a John Cena story. I actually met him back in 2002. I want to say it was after a Raw, or it was after SummerSlam 2002. At Nassau Coliseum, of course, it was definitely there, because if you go to wrestling events enough and talk to people, Nassau Coliseum, and maybe still to this day, they have a routine where on the other side of the arena, more so on the back end, not from Hempstead Turnpike, but the other side, they have the garage that goes down. It's a long ramp that goes down underneath the Coliseum. But before that ramp, there's a parking lot there where the wrestlers would also walk up the ramp and outside and to their secluded parking lot where fans would often hang out and meet. So that night we had a chance to meet John Cena, Batista, and this is, mind you, this is before John Cena even got on uh, mainstream TV every single week. This was probably slightly after his debut. Obviously, we knew who he was, so it had to have been after his debut. But we, on camera, we got John Cena to wish our friend Mary at the time a happy birthday, and it was pretty cool. And John Cena was just chilling.
Did she change her name?
What's that?
You said Mary at the time. Did she change her name?
She changed her name, but she was one of my friends at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so a bunch of us had gone, and my friend was a huge fan of John Cena, so we got him to wish her a happy birthday. I thought that was really cool. So we met John Cena that night amongst other people and at Nassau Coliseum. So I thought that was really cool, and that's really the closest and the only time I met John Cena, just that one time. So something I'll always remember. He's always good with his fans. Then there's times where I've heard stories where maybe he wasn't, but due to time restrictions, he had to go. Whatever the case may be, it is what it is. But overall, John Cena's done a lot of good, for the business and stuff. So
your time and being involved with music and stuff and bands and things, your time is very limited. And when you're on the road and you got to be somewhere, and being as big as John Cena is, his schedule is very limited. And, everybody expects for you to stop and the world to stop for you. And, they don't think about the things that it's a business still. It's his job. He's got to be somewhere, whether he's got to be at a radio station, he's got to be at the next city, he's got to catch a plane. He can't stop for everybody. And, people are always going to say things and be like, oh, he was this, he was that. And you know what? No, that's not the stories that you hear from a guy like John Cena is, how given he was. But you can't expect 100 times to stop at an airport when your flight's about to take off in 20 minutes, or nowadays you got to check in and it's even longer now at an airport. But you got to be somewhere, man, and people don't realize that, and they're just like, oh, that guy's a jerk. And it's so stupid because they don't realize it.
Yeah. And Pete, you're absolutely right on that too, and I can attest to it. My brother-in-law, he is a pilot for a private airplane. So he flies jets and whatever. So there's a private airplane airport in Westchester. So John Cena typically doesn't fly commercial too often. He usually flies private. So my brother-in-law happened to have flown him one time out of his boss's airplane, private jet company over in Westchester. And my brother-in-law got to fly him and had nothing but good things to say about John Cena. Was very, very, kind of not really quite to himself, but like John Cena was very friendly with my brother-in-law, who had the random opportunity to fly him, and he's flown Shaquille O'Neal and a couple other people, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of these wrestlers and very, very popular big names in whatever industry, they tend to fly privately. So Westchester happens to be one of the closest private plane companies nearby that I guess Cena was able to arrange at the time to get from point A to point B, and then that was that. But nothing but good things I've heard about Cena and stuff, both on and off the camera. But getting to tonight's main event, we're gonna start hot. We're going to talk the main event of Cena versus Gunther. We're gonna go out of order a little bit, which is okay. But
let's talk about the ring entrance for John Cena.
Oh yeah,
You know, Walter came out. You know, I got to say one thing, and everybody hates, I guess, Death Rebel and stuff like that. Gunther needs to go back to his Death Rebel song, with the chants of Gunther and stuff like that in the song, and just the singing and stuff. I know he went back to his original Imperium music, and it just doesn't feel right. You know, it's just I like the Gunther, you know, where it was like Gunther, and it was like a punch to it. He needs to go back to that, man. But he left the ring, if you noticed. He ended the
for
ring,
respect.
and he had the attitude when he left the ring. You've heard before, you know, you've heard certain wrestlers get pissed off at other wrestlers for them staying in the ring, or like, you know, not staying in the corner. And Gunther totally left the ring to pay respect. But what I liked about John Cena's entrance was that long like hallway look with all the different shirts that he wore this year were flying, you know, past all the screens as he's walking out, and the crowd just popped and they were singing his music. I don't think I've ever heard a crowd sing John Cena's music like that anyway, you know, in the United States anyway.
That was loud.
Yeah, and you could tell right away that you didn't hear one John Cena sucks chant as he came out.
No.
At all. And that's probably the first time I think I've ever didn't hear that chant.
You're right. You're 100% right. I definitely love the entrance, the visual, that hallway LED entrance. I thought that was pretty creative, simplistic, but very creative at the same time. And I'd like to see a little bit more of that, especially like on like the Saturday Night's Main Event. I like to see consistency with certain things. But that was a great entrance. You know, they made the ramp very, very narrow. Oh, so just a sidetrack, just for a second, I looked on SeatGeek at 7:30 tonight. p.m. Mind you, the event starts at 8. I look at 7:30. The tickets dropped 50%. I'm like, are you kidding me? So the tickets, the average ticket price on the resale market was beginning at $400. And I saw tickets going for $175 tonight. At $150, $175, it's something you can't predict. But hands down, I definitely would have bit and bought a ticket for tonight's show in hindsight. But granted, maybe it's a good thing I didn't, because I'm sure I would have some heck of a ride home tonight, you know, with the weather and the storm that's coming in. But I looked, I could not believe it. Tickets were down to like $150 to $175.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but they were sold at that, you know, they were already bought at that point. You know, they were resale at that point. They sold every seat.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I know people try to resell things thinking, you know, they can scalp them later on or whatever they do nowadays with, you know, through SeatGeek or whatever, to try to resell them. But place is jam packed.
Yeah, so. No, it was. I wasn't buying a ticket for $400. Yeah. That's for sure. I do know that when tickets did first go on sale, the face value seat was about at cheapest was about $250 to $300. So some of those tickets went below face value what Ticketmaster was selling for when the tickets first went on sale. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We had a really good match with John Cena against Gunther tonight. So I honestly, going into this match, I believe that this was going to be 50-50. It could have gone either way. We know that John Cena just lost his last match with Dominic. And, you know, with Saturday Night's Main Event being in Washington, D.C., you know, the nation's capital, America's hero, going against the villain in Gunther, being from Europe and everything. You had the perfect heel versus American hero going tonight at DC, and yeah, it was kind of set up where, you know, John Cena could very well, get a win on his last match, which a lot of people were rooting for. But the other half of me thought, well, you know what? If Gunther does win, now you have something to go off of the next couple months, where Gunther's character and career path is somewhat rekindled. And because he's kind of, before this tournament, he's kind of like off the grid a little bit. But now you have something to go off of, where Gunther can now talk about how he retired John Cena. And this might even lead to a segue of him being a legend killer, because now he's retired 2 big superstars this year. So this was 50-50. I was torn. I really honestly didn't truly know who that they were going to pick. Typically, as we know, when people are leaving, usually the traditional thing to do is to put over the other guy on the other side of the ring on the way out. But were you happy with tonight's results? I think it was the right thing to do for the long term. Gunther got a major rub, and it seemed like DC was not happy.
The first thing out of Michael Cole's mouth was, John Cena's never lost in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Boom. You just gave it away.
Yes.
And they did the same thing during Bayley's match, too. So you had to do it. John Cena's a traditionalist. He was going out on his back. What I thought was going to happen, and I said to you during the day, never give up. That's John Cena's motto. And I thought he was going to pass out. I thought Gunther was going to have him in the chokehold, pass him out. John put the smile on his face before he tapped. And he was saying thank you to the world, I believe, when he was doing that. You'll probably hear some people groan about that. But at this point, it was John's final match. Everything that John does, you always hear John sits in the backstage at the monitor, watches the matches, gives rapport to anybody that wants anything back, any feedback. John is there always to give. John's a traditionalist, where nowadays everybody, they don't think that way. He's an old school guy, and the mentality of the way he thinks is you got to go out on your back. You got to pass it on. We know that Gunther, his story most likely is what we're hearing is that WrestleMania is going to probably be him versus Brock Lesnar, 2 gigantic monsters. You had Brock Lesnar destroy John Cena. Everybody's like, oh, what the heck? That he's going to have no revenge back for that loss against Brock Lesnar this year. And now you have Gunther, and Gunther going to be like, I beat John Cena too. I'm going to beat you. And we're going to see how this goes. I have no issues. If John Cena would have won, I probably would have had no issues too. But, it's not about the feel-good story. It's about telling the story and going on from this point. John Cena knows wrestling's going to survive without him. And he needs to push it on further for the next chapter to begin. So he just basically closed the end of that chapter, and now the rest of the book is in Gunther's hands. It's going to be interesting because, like you said, Gunther was basically, he was the monster. He was away for a couple of months. He had some injuries. He got that all situated, came back, and now he's ready to go again. You're not putting him in the title picture at this point right now. So you may see him at the Elimination Chamber. You'll see him at Royal Rumble, but I think at Royal Rumble, you're going to see the story between him and Brock Lesnar start playing out, which is going to be interesting. The match itself was hard-hitting. Was there anything that you're going to remember? Maybe the death spot, with the AA to Gunther, with the steel steps. Gunther was prancing around, basically showboating when he put the steps up there, and he was just being a heel, and he just did a great job at that tonight. And he was feeding into the crowd, and the crowd was just hating on him. But most likely, most of them are probably loving it too at the same time as fans. And like I said, I have no issues. The one thing, like I said, when John Cena, his motto was never give up. He took off his shoes at the end, and what socks was he wearing? Never give up.
Was
And
it was it true at the end the fans were chanting to leave his jorts?
I was laughing. I was thinking at it. I was laughing at it in my head. I'm like, I didn't hear them say it, but I'm just like, he didn't leave the jorts, and it would have been funny if he had his old school wrestling trunks that he wrestled Kurt Angle in underneath it, and just
my
left the
gosh. Talk
jorts
about
behind.
long-term storytelling right there.
I thought it was awesome seeing some of the people at ringside. Was it Elias or Ezekiel or who was that?
Elias.
Are you sure it wasn't Ezekiel?
They were all there. Yeah.
Or was it Elijah?
I don't know. Pick your three. Pick one of your three. I think it's all the above.
That was kind of surprising to see him there. I guess he has a good relationship with John. But I thought the ending was really cool. I kind of have an issue with some fans trying to hijack the show at the end. I heard during the post show you had some idiots chanting AEW while Triple H was there. I got to give one shout out. There was one person that had a sign, and it was there at the end. I don't think I saw it in the beginning of the match. It might have been in the beginning of the match, but I did see it at the end. That somebody held a sign that said had something to do with they had cancer, and it wasn't going to hold them back from being there that night. It was an adult. It's like the left side of the screen. I thought that was pretty cool. Everything that John does, like I said before, Make-A-Wish, to have somebody there, that bought tickets, and it wasn't going to stop them from being at that show to see John Cena's last match. I thought it was pretty cool.
Let's dive a little bit more into the match before we move on. We see Gunther controlling the match early, getting some major heat. The fans were fired up. They were into this. Gunther delivering clothesline after clothesline in this match. It was pretty funny because we got to see Super Cena tonight after taking like at least 5 or 6 consecutive clotheslines and looking like this match was going to wrap up relatively soon. We see Super Cena with a big rally. He pulls out his 5-knuckle shuffle followed by the AA. We see Gunther kick out of this. We see Cena getting caught in the sleeper hold early. But then we see Cena reverse that and catch Gunther in the sleeper hold. So, we had that battle going on for a while until Gunther gets to the ropes. So there's a lot of teases to the false finishes here. At this point is around 9:51 or so. I was watching the clock at that point to kind of get an idea of when the ending would be of where they were at in the match. Cena hits the double A. The AA on Gunther through the announce table. So that was a pretty cool spot there. Referee wasn't exactly too trying doing any count out. So he was kind of letting it go. We see Gunther kick out from the AA when John Cena put Gunther through with the AA off the middle rope. So I thought that was a pretty cool spot. We see Gunther powerbomb, then do the frog splash onto Cena, but Cena kicks out. So at this point, after 9:50, we're getting false finishes now, which is really cool. And then we see Gunther finally put John Cena into the sleeper hold for about the 4th or 5th time now. I'm looking at my watch. It was 9:55, 9:56. I'm like, okay, this has got to be it. I mean, Cena's already escaped two sleepers at this point. And then we see Cena tapped, which shocked me because we talked about earlier on, I thought I thought he was just going to fall asleep. I mean, either way, Gunther would have won cleanly. But for Cena to tap, I think, and the crowd was shocked. They were shocked. They were all expecting Cena to win tonight.
I think it's just John putting the exclamation point on his career at that point and passing it on to Gunther by tapping out. It wouldn't surprise me if they, told him you're going to pass out or whatever. And John said, no, I need to pass this on and definitively So there's no questions in anybody's mind. And that, hey, he never got his revenge for that or anything like that. This is it. Him by getting pinned or submitting puts his exclamation on his career.
Those of you guys that are watching, this is the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast, Saturday night's main event, post-show. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us tonight. Feel free to leave your comments. We want to know exactly what you guys thought about John Cena's final match with Gunther and overall what you guys thought of Saturday night's main event. We're going to get back to the John Cena conversation in just a moment, but first we want to hit up some of the other matches really quick. But tonight we had what I thought was kind of like a fantasy match in a way, because we had the NXT champion Obafemi challenging Cody Rhodes, non-title match, but we got champion versus champion. If any of you guys have been paying attention to NXT, we've seen Obafemi on such a rise. He's a legit superstar. Has future WrestleMania main event written all over him. He's been doing some amazing work on NXT. So, and I was also excited about this because we not only do we have a big time future superstar, but this is like a fresh face going against Cody Rhodes, and we got ourselves a really good match tonight. Cody made Obafemi look really good, and there was even the one spot where Cody was tossed into the table, and I believe he cut his ear and was bleeding, so we got some blood, and it was a very good match until guess who showed up, and I knew this was going to happen. Like, it was either two scenarios that was going to happen, that Obafemi was going to somehow win, and we get a shocking win out of it, or this match was going to be interrupted by guess who?
Before I get to that, Cody's maybe becoming the John Moxley of WWE, where he's bleeding every match now, accidentally. You kind of knew Drew McIntyre was going to interfere at this match.
Yeah,
it
wasn't shocked. I was pissed though.
You didn't want to see Oba being pinned, and you knew you don't want to make Cody look weaker to somebody that's NXT. Now, as far as being pinned by that, but Cody was being dominated by Obafemi in this match. Cody didn't get much offense at all in this match.
No.
And he made Oba look great. And there was Oba was very methodical in this match. Took his time. Didn't rush anything. We talked last time I was on with you. I said, Oba and Braun Breaker are going to headline a WrestleMania. Those two are going to headline a WrestleMania.
Yeah, probably a one-on-one too.
And it could be in 2-3 years from now. That could be a headliner for like night 1 or night 2 or something like that. We're at a point right now where guys are going to start retiring. The old guard starting to move out. We know next year AJ Styles is going to be his last year. They're not going to march it out like John Cena.
No.
I think AJ will have more stories to tell. I wish John Cena at least had 10 more dates to have a little bit more storytelling on Raw or SmackDown, even to help out some of the matches he had on the pay-per-views this year. Just getting back into that. I'm sorry about it, but it's going to be interesting to see where Oba goes from this point. He has a title match in January, I guess 6th or something, on NXT, New Year's Evil. Is this where he drops the title? And then, he's going to have a huge pop because of this match when he comes out in the Royal Rumble. He's going to be in the Royal Rumble. He's going to get a huge pop. Will that be his entrance now every week now on the main roster at that point? Does he drop the title on January, at New Year's Evil? I just think tonight was an introduction for him. Same thing with Sol Ruka, same thing. I know we want to really talk about John Cena a lot in the matches, and we still got stuff that, I did some homework today. You wanted me to do some homework today for memorable moments with John Cena. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but, it was cool to see the NXT matches tonight. Like we said, Oba looked like $1 million. I think he probably looked like the monster coming out of this. Sol Ruka probably was the most impressive. I thought some of her moves were a little overdone. They were amazing. They popped the crowd. And, we always say with Javon Evans, your boy is bouncy. With Sol Ruka tonight, your girl was bouncy. I don't think I've ever seen her.
Yeah, so Ruka had a
That
very,
crazy.
very good outing tonight.
Yeah. With all her acrobatics tonight, she's never done that much acrobatics on NXT. Not that much.
I was a little nervous for her, and the reason why I'm going to tell you this is because she's an NXT talent, and she's on the main stage tonight. This is the biggest stage that she's been on yet to date.
Yeah, but she's been on WWE TV before. In front of Laura Duran. Yeah. She's had a couple of matches.
Been on SmackDown, but this by far was the most. Yeah. This is going to be the most eyeballs on this show than any other show that she's been on so far.
Correct.
And
Totally.
The moves that she was doing, the backflip into the whatever she was doing, then she diving right outside over the top rope was just absolutely amazing.
She was mere meters from her feet catching that rope, which could have been disastrous. But it was a thing of beauty. Her doing the flips and stuff like that back and forth. Bailey was a little off step at one point. I don't know if she got her bell rung or not. I know she missed a spot, when she was outside the ring where she was going to do the drop kick, between, I guess, jumping between the ring post to the other side of the ring from the outside. And I think her foot got caught, but she looked a little off for a couple of moments. She had to collect her thoughts back together at one point. It looked like, even when she was like standing a little bit, she looked a little dazed to me.
Yeah, Sol Ruka with a big win tonight.
That was surprising how she won it, though.
Huge win. I was actually not expecting. I don't think I was expecting any of the NXT guys. Maybe Oba, but I wasn't really expecting any upsets tonight. And so when this match happened and Sol Ruka got the win, me and my friends, as we were watching this, we were stunned. The crowd was stunned, and that was a huge win.
To me, Sol was the only one for me that seemed like the most likely to win because of who she was going against. Bailey's so given. She's the locker room leader for the girls, besides Natty, and she's at a point right now where she can use this loss because she's hearing the voices in her head and stuff like that. That's why I thought that she would be the one that would probably lose, because now they can use this to further her storyline and stuff like that with Lyra. She keeps going down this road and she keeps hearing these voices and she gets frustrated. That's just part of it. Sol hit her move and she didn't pin Bailey, and then Bailey did the roll up, and then Sol did the roll up and won. And, to me, it was just like, it wouldn't have hurt if Sol Ruka won with her finish, 30 seconds earlier, instead of the roll up. That was my only, I would say with that match was kind of like, but why didn't she just, because everybody loves Sol Ruka's finish. Everybody.
She should have won
yeah.
that.
And her and Oba, they've only been wrestling for 3 years or been involved in training for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Really quick, we see Leon Slater and Javon Evans challenge AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. And man, did this talk about all gas and no brakes? Did this match take off? one of my favorite matches of the night. I enjoy watching Javon Evans jumping around in the ring like that, and Leon Slater. I can tell you this much: I can foresee, like, I can kind of get an idea of where this might be going. I would love to see WWE sign Leon Slater, which is very possible when his contract frees up, and then making him and Javon Evans a tag team. I can absolutely see it. They make the perfect tag team. It'd be a great way for them to kick off their careers in WWE.
I don't know if they're going to bring them in as a tag team. I don't know how much longer Leon Slater has. I think he has, as far as I know, I think he has more than a year or so left on his contract, truthfully.
Yeah.
I could see them feuding,
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
They've already had their match, two matches, right? Didn't they have something in TNA or something?
Yep.
I know NXT.
Yeah, I think it was at Bound for Glory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. If they won, I thought it would be Dragon Lee that would take the pin, if anything. It's Leon Slater, taking the pinfall, and maybe it's just TNA just giving back, saying, "Hey, you've done so much for us. You've given us so much publicity. We have a great relationship working together." That match was just all over the place. The ending was a little wonky. This isn't the first time. I guess AJ got hurt a year ago when he slipped, a year and a half ago or so, when he slipped on the flying elbow, which is so amazing. Whenever AJ hits that move, the height he gets off the ropes and that flying forearm is just such a thing of beauty. And you didn't really see it. The camera wasn't on him totally when he fell. And then it just seemed like it was kind of quick. They rolled it up pretty quick at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent match. Very, very enjoyable. That was the enjoyable match of the night. Every match kind of had its own different moments, which I thought was a very good show. So let's get back to it. Talking John Cena now. We basically covered the most. We could talk about the Miz promo, and then it led to
fun.
The Truth coming out and Joe Hendry and stuff, but we had to move along. But there was a nice little tribute there. Most of you guys that are watching this show right now probably saw it. Nice little thing with going on with Ron the Truth Killings and Joe Hendry taking the Miz out of the ring, which was pretty cool. But
I also liked at the end with Punk and Cody coming in with their championships and handing them to John Cena. I'll talk about a little bit more, with Punk and Cena and the history they have. Punk credits John Cena for making him in WWE, and Cody getting the rub this year and passing of the torch. For them to both hand their titles to him and thank him for his career and what he meant to those two and where they're standing right now as championships was a beautiful moment. I thought it was pretty cool. And then they both took a knee for John.
Yeah, that was a very good moment. Basically, the whole WWE locker room emptied out after the match tonight, which I thought was really cool because I was wondering if we were going to get Vince McMahon's music go off, No Chance in Hell, and then we see the shocking return of Vince just coming in.
There ain't no chance in hell. You just said it.
Just to thank John Cena and then leave.
They're keeping that guy away no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is like, I guess they could not even bear to even tolerate Vince for even 1 minute. But I was wondering if we were going to get that or not. But anyhow, great tribute. Everybody was out there. I was a little surprised we didn't see Randy Orton out there.
He's not going to be back till the night before, I guess, Royal Rumble.
I think he's traveling, if I'm not mistaken. There are a couple people traveling right now that are overseas, actually. But the whole WWE locker room came out. They honored John Cena. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. You saw Taker come out with HBK. You saw all the guys that are behind the scenes right now. Walk out first. You know, you saw Triple H walk out,
He
and
got booed.
I don't understand. It's
It
stupid
was Boo City.
because John lost, and they're booing him for that, and they don't realize it that that's not what John wanted. You know, I guess there's a selfishness to it. Instead of realizing the time honored tradition of what wrestling really is, um, you know, of passing it on, because wrestling's going to go on with or without you.
See, this is where I separate the smart fans from the not so smart fans. It wasn't obvious. It wasn't going to be an obvious decision whether John was going to win or lose this match. There was no way. They could have booked this either way. So it wasn't a shock to me that Gunther was going to win this. I was surprised at how it ended, but it wasn't a shock to me that Gunther won. I was prepared for that. I felt that the right decision was definitely made tonight, but if you're a smart fan, you have to believe going into this that this could also go Gunther's way as well, and then think of what it could do for Gunther in the future, and which we just talked about minutes ago. That now Gunther gets to ride and kind of continue a storyline how he retired John Cena, and maybe he professes himself to be the new Legend Killer. See, there's a whole purpose to it, but obviously not a lot of fans are thinking like that right now.
Yeah. I mean, you think they would remember and realize how good the Bloodline story was. Wasn't overnight. Nothing was rushed.
Yeah.
It took time, and it played out. And we're so used to today's society of things happening fast, or we want things to happen fast. We want to get to the end of the book right away, and it's just like, we need to tell the story. It's like having a trilogy of watching a movie or something like that. And, that sometimes there's different parts, and they just got to play out. You need to enjoy the ride and enjoy it while you can, and not get over anxious or get upset because it didn't go your way. Your guy didn't win. Your team didn't win. We're both sports fans. We know all about that. You want to be diehard, and stick with the story. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was, it was a good result. I like where this is going to go. And on top of that, John Cena got his farewell moment too.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't hurt John Cena taking a loss tonight by any means.
No.
By any means. He has had a 23.5-year career in WWE since he started with TV, maybe even 2 more years on top of that because of training. So he's basically had almost a 26-year career with WWE. And on top of that, he signed another 5-year deal to be an ambassador and work behind the scenes and help the up and coming and give back even more, but just in a different way with WWE.
Now, does TKO give him shares like The Rock?
What about me again?
I says, does TKO give him some shares like they did The Rock? The shareholders.
Oh, who knows? Who knows? Let me see. We got a comment here. Yeah, Gunther now has retired Cena and Goldberg. Will he retire AJ Styles next? If it's his time to leave. I don't know about that. It's possible. We're not there yet, so we'll have to see if they're going into this Legend Killer gimmick over the course of the next year or so. Then maybe. But I do know that what Brock Lesnar has been rumored to be an opponent for Gunther for the last 2 WrestleManias now. So I think we'll finally get it now that now that Brock Lesnar is kind of back and his name is kind of cleared that we know of. So I believe we're going to get Gunther Brock. I believe at some point this could lead to Gunther versus Randy Orton if, in fact, WWE plans on leaning into this Legend Killer gimmick. So we'll have to see. I wouldn't doubt it, though. We have not seen a Gunther versus AJ match that I know of. that I know of that I can think of right now.
AJ's not going to retire till the probably end of next year. He's going to be around for the whole year, 2022.
Yeah, he never really gave a solid date, but he doesn't look like he's ready to hang it
No,
up anytime
he's
soon.
not. You know, he said this is going to be my last year. You don't expect him to say this is my last WrestleMania and that's it.
Yeah.
He could still go in the ring. He's still phenomenal no matter what he does. You know, so but yeah, man.
Anyway, so there's a couple different directions that they could go with Gunther, but I would expect Gunther versus Brock Lesnar first, before any other feud for Gunther.
And that there's rumors that might be Brock's, you know, coming to the end of his career too. But you never know with Brock. You know, he may disappear for a while and then come back, you know, another year later or a couple of months later and do something. He's not there every week. But there's also talks about him coming to the end of his career. I don't know if Gunther's going to be retiring people. I don't know if that's going to be his gimmick. You know, it'd be like too many guys retiring all at once. You know, we're coming to the end of Rey Mysterio, who has like
not to mention
his contract.
You know, we're gonna have CM Punk. He's gonna retire within 2 years.
Yeah, so
you know, there's a couple guys that are going to be on the way out within the next 2-3 years.
Yeah. So, but it's just crazy. So you want to talk about Cena's career? What made him?
So we got literally 10 minutes left before we start wrapping up the show. Those
I got some honorable.
Thank you so much for hopping on. Please feel free to leave some comments on what you guys thought of Saturday night's main event, and we will try to address them. But what I wanted to propose to you, Pete, was your top 3 moments of John Cena's career, and we will go back and forth one by one. So you give me your first one. Before
my top 3, I want to give my honorable mentions just real fast.
I knew you were gonna have honorable mentions.
I gotta be Tommy Dreamer, who can't make up his mind. But I do have a top 3. You know, honorable mentions was for me was Twice in a Lifetime with The Rock at WrestleMania 28. Honorable mention the 2016 Rumble, Cena ties Ric Flair by beating AJ Styles for 16. Before getting to number 17, John Cena beat Dom at Boston this year at Raw for the Grand Slam is really awesome. You know, and then, you know, a really cool moment was John Cena in the Open Challenge where he faced guys like Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Neville. You know, and then all his feuds that he had. We can go on and on, but my top 3. All right, I'll start. I guess number 3 would be best in the yeah. So it's not just one match. It was a series of matches. Best in the world with CM Punk, but the Money in the Bank 2011 was the best match. But there was a series of 5 matches those guys had the summer of Punk. I know Punk won in Chicago at Money in the Bank 2011, but it just cemented John Cena's career. I know everybody talks about Edge being his greatest opponent with the Rated R Superstar, but to me, it was CM Punk.
Wow, that's a good one. So for my number 3, and I'm going to give my honorable mentions later, but for my number 3, I am going to go Royal Rumble 2008, Madison Square Garden, when John Cena made his early comeback. Nobody saw it coming. This was at a point where I felt the WWE, this was early 2008, I felt like WWE was kind of hurting in a way. There were a couple guys that were also injured around that time. And John Cena wasn't supposed to come back until, let's just say WrestleMania that year was in jeopardy of John Cena, of not having John Cena that year.
He had a torn pec muscle, man. It should have put him out for 8 months tops. Yeah, and he was back in 3 months.
Within 3 or 4 months, yeah. So that was, I'll never forget the pop. As I was sitting there, and I wasn't even a big John Cena fan at that time, but even I knew that WWE needed him back. So when I saw him back, I popped too. All of Madison Square Garden popped. And I believe he won the Rumble.
So that's my number 2.
Triple H?
Nope, that's my number 2. was the 2028 Royal Rumble. John Cena's ability to recover from an injury. That's where people would call him superhuman at the time. He had a torn pec muscle in 2007. It was a match with Mr. Kennedy where he completely torn completely off the bone during a match with Mr. Kennedy. John Cena came back, number 30. The place popped like crazy. He's one of the loudest pops ever, and he won and went on to WrestleMania that year. That is my number 2. That's your number 3.
That's my number 3. That is.
You better not have my number 1 in there right now.
We'll see. My number 2, and there's a lot of good John Cena moments, by the way, I have to say. My number 2 is John Cena versus AJ Styles, SummerSlam 2016, live from Barclays Center. The best John Cena match I had ever seen to that point, and to this day still might be the best John Cena match. I recommend everybody to go see Turn the Clock and on your WWE network or whatever you watch your streaming service on for WWE to SummerSlam 2016 and catch one of the greatest matches ever that Brooklyn was blessed with, and AJ Styles won that night. I remember I was sitting lower level for that, not on the floor, but lower level in the corner, close to the ring, and we were losing our minds because we did not expect that we were going to get a match like that between Cena and AJ. That
was where you were neck cranking, right?
No, that was not with my neck cranking. My neck was cranking in 2018.
You sure?
Backlash 2018.
Just the story. me and one of my friends say Wayne's neck was cranking because he was trying to look at somebody on a pay-per-view, and he was trying to check somebody out. Anyway, great match, great feud. But even that 2025 match it was such a classic because there was so many old throwbacks that were put out there between him and AJ Styles, and then John Cena writing that great introduction for your AJ Styles was so amazing. And then he said he had to apologize because he didn't get any okays for that, and he knew they would have okayed it anyway. But it's better to do it and then ask for permission. Instead of ask for permission, apologize for it later. And but him and AJ, some just great matches, and I'm glad they got to revisit that this year.
AJ so that was the best out of John Cena.
Yeah. So he did. But before that, it was CM Punk. And just that series of 5 matches
the year before.
So my number 3 was John Cena actually losing. Your number 2 is John Cena losing.
Yeah.
Don't
forget the year before. So your number 1, the year before.
Yeah,
we got John Cena versus AJ SummerSlam 2016, SummerSlam 2015, John Cena versus Seth Rollins. My goodness.
Yeah.
All right.
So many great feuds. Kurt Angle, Edge, Randy Orton, HBK, Triple H, Undertaker, JBL, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. Like you said, Seth Rollins. So many guys that he's had so many great feuds with. AJ Styles, Sami Zayn and stuff like that. So Eddie Guerrero, really helped put him on the map. That parking lot brawl was on my honorable mentions, and I forgot to say it, but the parking lot brawl with Eddie Guerrero really helped John Cena early in his career, besides the ruthless aggression with Kurt Angle. But my number 1 also was a loss, and it may be your number 1 too. Cena versus RVD at Hammerstein Ballroom 2026. If Cena wins, we riot. Now, I'm an old school ECW fan. ECW fans were passionate. They did not want to see Cena win. But Cena won that crowd over. Even though they might have booed him, there was a love that came out of those fans and their appreciation for John's passion and how much he was enjoying himself, the fight in him. They saw something different in John Cena that night. Would they have rioted? Maybe. but there was a point in that match you can see the crowd changed their opinion on John Cena, and that's what made ECW so great. Was having all these different guys come in out of nowhere, and they might have hated you, but if they saw the love in you and your passion for what you love and what you do, they would give you respect. And I think he won over so many fans that night alone, and it changed a lot of people. Now, did he still have, everybody got tired of John Cena being shoved down your throat at the point of Vince McMahon booking? Yeah. But they saw a different side of him at that point, and the place went crazy when Rob Van Dam won that match at the Hammerstein Ballroom. But to me, being an old school fan, I love that moment with John Cena, but I think it showed a different side to John Cena and his abilities. And you always hear John talk about that night. He loved it. He loved the fans booing him to death. The hatred, the animosity that came out. And then he knew that he won that crowd over.
So I got my number one, but we're going to speed this up because we got 4 minutes left. So my number one is, are you ready for this?
Okay.
The long-awaited John Cena heel turn that
Really?
many fans were calling for many years. Now, many fans are not going to agree, like the way and like that the way the
It
rest
went
of it was played
nowhere.
out. But for the shock factor that we got that John Cena heel turn, and then he tried to work with that as best as he could, but just that moment alone shocked the world and gave us something really buzzworthy to talk about, and that was my number one moment. But my honorable mentions really quick because we got 3 more minutes. WrestleMania 21, his first ever championship win in WWE, world title win against JBL, ECW One Night Stand 2006. I was there, and my gosh, that was a hostile environment. And also his first appearance on Raw in 2005 when he got drafted from SmackDown to Raw. That was a huge major pop that he got that night. So those are my honorable mentions.
Now, the perfect retirement match should have been, and he ruined it, was Ric Flair versus HBK. He came back. That match alone, just the emotions in that match was so amazing. The way John Cena's going out now, this is probably the best retirement. As far as we knew that this was coming to an end, this is definitely his last match. I was just thinking about that, the other day, just how perfect it would have been if that was it for Flair. And he just had to bosh it. He had to come back, so badly because it was in his blood. And we know that this is most likely John's very last time in the ring.
Absolutely, 100%. Will we see a couple cameos, maybe a run-in? Who knows? But this is it. John Cena says this is his last match. We're not getting no more matches. That is it for John Cena.
He said it's the last time he's going to be in the ring. Kind of, I'm leaning that way, just the way he's been saying it. You know what I mean? It's not just this is going to be my last match. He's saying this is the last time he's going to be in the ring.
Yeah, I think we'll see him on TV camera again. But again, not in the, we can definitively rule out that the end of Cena, as we know it as a wrestler and performer, is done. But those of you guys that are watching, we have literally 1 minute left. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. Please feel free to share this video. We will be back Monday night. We should be back Monday night. My hours have changed a little bit. I have to be at work a little bit earlier in the mornings now for December. So we're going to try to get a post show in Monday night. We're going to do a special John Cena show middle of the week with a special guest that you guys have not seen in a while, which I'm very excited to do. And that is our week leading into the holidays. Peter Moxley, or should I say Mr. Kathy Kelly Milano, thank you so much for hopping on tonight, talking Saturday night's main event. And to those of you guys that are watching, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you guys soon.
Best Christmas movie. Gremlins.
Agility from the champion. Uh-oh!